Oh, we are. We're live. Stop it, chat. All right. Welcome back, listeners, to the Brighter Side of Blue, our worldwide podcast, coming to you live from Columbo's Cafe and Tavern in Dogtown, St. Louis, home of the famous thin crust Seabo's Pizza and daily lunch specials. I'm Danny. I'm Tommy. I'm JJ. Producer John in the house.
After cataract surgery,
Yeah, cataract done.
Got them both done. I can see half as good as I used to.
That's good. That's good.
Well, I just had it done a couple hours.
You're still dilated. That's the weirdest feeling.
Are the lights brighter in the colors or?
Yeah, when I only had one done, the other one hadn't been done yet. You cover one eye, the new eye, everything is bright white. Cover up the new eye, the old eye, everything is yellow, dingy, dull. So I'm seeing life, and I don't like what I see.
I didn't think it really. I expected it better. Yes.
Our first live show since the 4th of July weekend in St. Louis, JJ. Give a report. How'd it go down? People behave themselves downtown?
We had a better game plan than we usually do. The last year was total chaos.
No doubt about it.
Full-fledged follow rockboard, fireworks show was crazy.
That's not on my.
This year we got a plan. Put fencing around Keener Plaza from Broadway all the way to Street.
No audio. Dave Miller says no audio.
No, just go to settings, John.
Did we do it all?
Yeah, we should.
Communication for speaker. Hold on.
Stand by.
Stand by till further notice.
Now we should, JJ, talk into your thing real quick.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
now we're good.
Testing.
All right, fuck.
All right.
Now we're good.
Dave, we on?
Can you hear us now?
We're all good.
Start again. How we doing?
Are we live right now?
Yes. Is this the Mount Rushmore of?
Good.
We need
Welcome back
we
from
need an okay
Columbo's
from Dave
Cafe
that-
and Tavern. We
Start
are
that over.
live.
That's our little flub for the minute.
Those are our flub.
Well recovered.
We're recovered. We're still at
Where we at?
Columbo's. We're at Columbo's in
What's it, the
Dogtown,
home
St.
of?
Louis, home of the famous Seabo's Pizza, thin crust pizza,
Yep.
daily lunch specials, and now our live Brighter Side of Blue show. And I'm Danny.
I'm Tommy.
I'm JJ.
I'm still producer John.
Still producer John.
And he still just had cataract surgery.
Just had cataract
Just
surgery.
plain
And I can see a
injured.
lot better and not as bad as I used to.
and his eyes are
playing
his one
injured.
eye is
And I'm
dilated.
dilated.
Walked in like Stevie Wonder, but now that he's in the nice basement, he get to take his dark sunglasses off and
I like it.
We have a packed crowd in Columbo's
tremendous
Cafe.
crowd.
Tremendous crowd. You probably hear in the background.
Keep
No.
it down out there.
No,
They
can-
don't even listen. We told them to keep it down. They said if we got to keep it down, we're leaving.
Let them kick it. Let
Yeah.
them kick it. This is
We got
live.
the entire Brentwood Police Department command staff here.
We do. We have Chief Speece, a couple majors here.
Major Joe Sullivan and Major
Hey, Hey, I gotta be honest. What's it
Jason
like?
Simpson.
What's it like to be? I did do a shot. What's it like to be a major in Candyland?
Oh,
I don't know. You guys hear that?
Yeah.
JJ has put out the question, what's it like to be a major in Candyland? Any answers out there?
Ooh.
No, they got nothing. They got nothing.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm just joking.
We
They
have,
said it's great every other Friday.
we have one of our biggest fans, Tanisha, is in the crowd with her daughter, beautiful daughter, Tramaya, is in
Yes.
the crowd.
Absolutely.
A lot of Seabo's thin crust pizzas out there, a bunch of daily lunch specials out there. So we're ready to rock and roll. Anyway, this is our first live show since 4th of July.
Yes. And we had the Romeos here earlier today, too. They were fun, and we had a good conversations with them.
Packed crowd.
Packed crowd. It's standing room only now at the Romeos meetings.
Jeez Louise. One of these days, you're going to tell the Barry Manilow story with Bunko.
Oh, dude, they had me rolling up there.
Because that is a class. I remember
Bunko
that.
almost stopped the Barry Manilow concert, but I cannot do it justice.
Yeah.
He's got to tell that one.
Barry Manilow had some strict rules on the secondary policemen. He didn't want to seat any of
Bunko
them.
violated every one of them.
Imagine that. JJ, how'd it go? Did people behave themselves down there 4th of July?
Absolutely not. But we had a game plan this year, the 4th, for the whole weekend. Last year was total chaos, fireworks war. It was just pandemonium. We didn't have a good game plan. This year we set up fencing around Keener Plaza all the way from Broadway to almost, I think, to 10th or 11th Street. Kept the people out of the parks. And so we kind of kept it down. But there were still issues we locked up. I forget. It's on the, we ended up, the plan was
We don't fact check. Just tell me how many people you locked up.
Just locked up a lot of dudes.
Like 95, but most
Give or take a few.
a lot of juveniles, the fireworks, and the plan was we had our juvenile division sit, and they were at Live for Life Academy School right there across from Soulard on 7th Street. So we would grab these kids with fireworks that were going to do this fireworks war, and we'd grab them, we'd call Cruiser, we'd get their information, and we'd summons them, and then they would, Cruiser would take them down there, and they'd call their mothers or parent or guardian to come get them, and then they would actually give a city ordinance to the mother. So they got summons for it, and so that worked out good. We took care of a lot of good business. One funny story, not funny, but kind of sad. One kid we got right out of the box, and so he went to his mom had to pick him up from Lift to Life. And about 45 minutes later, we get him again.
Yeah, she just dropped him right back into the crowd. I heard that story.
And he had
There you
fireworks.
go.
And, it's been out there, but
Yeah.
yeah. So
It didn't work for him, but it worked for everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, but he was funny because not funny, but he told my officers actually grabbed him the second time. Our mobile guys did, and he said, "I just got back from Live for Life," because he said he was going back there. But he goes, "What do you mean you just got back from?" He goes, "Yeah, my mom just picked me up from there." And I go, "Why are you here?" And they go, "Well, she just dropped me back off." So she got 2 summonses. But
I'm sure that.
okay. I don't want to go beat a dead horse.
Sure, he won't be there next year.
No, but it was we really did do a big difference from the year before, and then the day the next day was always chaotic too. So the next day was a huge difference. We set the message. I really believe we set the message out, and we ended up getting like 19 people. And we're not just getting fireworks from these kids. We've got all kinds of guns. I think we got up to like 14 or 16 guns. Some real deal guns too. So a couple of them has the Switch.
Yeah, I saw a picture of them on social media. They were no joke of guns.
It's unreal. But I think we actually had a good game plan this year. We're going to have to do it again next year, and then so hopefully they realize that the downtown is not their playground. It's not their playground.
They need to come up with if they can put like downtown in like an entertainment area and have some other rules around it.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but they're going to sign. I think they supposedly did sign that. That's going to be signed. That's
Good.
gonna happen.
You can't have people. You just can't have just in an entertainment district like that where you're trying to encourage tourists to visit and everything. You got to have some rules down there that aren't applicable to the rest of the city. But down there, let's make a good showing for St. Louis.
It's all juveniles, all underage for the most part. 90% of the juvenile problem, and they just think they have this as their playground. It's like social media has created this mess because they can all gather so quickly. I think now the word is out, so I'm kind of excited that but the entertainment district is why they're going to be able. You have to be down there. I believe, quote me on it, but I think you have to have a parent with you if you're underage to be inside so we can, just grab them on site.
That would be good.
Yeah. Grab them on site. But it's pain.
Tommy, you're John. Dave Miller is saying it's a bit faint on the sound. I don't know what it is, but Tommy, you're a conspiracy.
Love conspiracy theories.
So I had this terrible vision. Fireworks. JJ, do you know that 99.2% of all fireworks bought in America come from China?
They need to stop it. I think fireworks are the worst thing.
Well, listen to what I had a nightmare about.
I got a story.
Yeah.
So
Tom's got a good story.
at the end of in the morning when you wake up after 4th of July, that smell in the air. What if China just put a little bit of Agent Orange in every firework?
Oh, give me an idea, Dan.
They're smarter than me. But then they sell every city in the country is blowing off their fireworks and they put that in the air and put it in our lungs.
Right.
Buy American
just,
fireworks. And then in South Carolina, a factory blew up.
That smell of stale beer in the morning on July 5th.
July 5th.
But you know what I don't understand? I don't understand the fascination with fireworks. I mean, and on the 4th of July, the arts grounds was packed with great, nice families. My son actually worked on the arts grounds, said it was great. The people were so nice and everything. But then when it ended, they all had to walk through downtown, and that's when all the juveniles kind of intertwined with them. But I just don't, for me, I would not go anywhere, drive anywhere where there's going to be a lot of traffic afterwards and watch fireworks. Fireworks don't do anything for me.
Right.
Part of that is we are spoiled as policemen. We've seen so many fireworks. Like parades and fireworks are ruined for me. After 33 years on the job, I'm like, I don't give a rat's ass about a parade.
If I never see another one, I won't care.
I don't care about parades or fireworks because I've seen them. We've had to work them.
Unless it's a blues parade going down Market Street for winning the Stanley Cup or the Cardinals, something like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen all the time.
No.
Yeah.
But I'll go to that every time.
Yeah, I hear you on that. So, hey, Brighter Side of Blues, a grassroots podcast across the world, over 39 million viewers. Like, subscribe, and share. You got to press that tab. Like, subscribe, and share. That's how we keep this thing growing.
Good job.
Uh-oh. Tommy, welcome back.
A little tough.
I hear you.
Still working kinks out.
Working some kinks out.
Tommy, the candidate for mayor in New York City
He's on a roll, man.
he's trying to walk back the defund the police.
He's got all kinds of shit in his closet.
He's called them corrupt and wicked.
Corrupt and wicked. On what?
Well,
And did he cite any examples, or is he just? They just throw out these catchphrases that
Yeah.
seem to catch, right?
NYPD's corrupt and wicked.
Well,
There you go.
You know what's wicked is rapists, murderers, robbers, and
Whatever, right?
carjackers.
Right.
Those are wicked people.
well,
And
you know what makes me mad about the whole thing is that this ICE thing that people are doing ambushes on them. And
Oh.
Ooh.
I don't want to get real political, but there's one party that actually is not making that that should be horrible. That should be everybody should be, both parties need to come out going against that. But they
Yeah.
don't. It's common sense. But they want ICE not to have face masks. They're going to go without their faces covered so they can get doxxed and their families can be in danger.
Right.
It's crazy. It just makes me. It irates me.
we have NYPD's back. Stay strong. This guy cannot come to power.
If he
in New York
wins,
City.
it'll be
He does.
crazy.
There's a lot of jobs in St.
It'll
Louis.
be crazy.
The cost of living's cheaper here.
Yeah.
But you know what we got coming up Monday, Danny?
I heard you had an unbelievable interview.
So with Jack and Joe, we do the Federal Friday, as a lot of people know, and we kind of waned off and took different directions on what we're going to do. But today we were rejoined by Jack Riley, and we went through the Flores twins. And these are young kids that grew up in the game in Chicago, right about when Jack came on the police department. Their father was a guy, and then he explains the whole thing, and it all ties in to taking down El Chapo. And they told stories that I haven't heard, and I did a lot of research on the Flores twins. But it was extremely interesting of how these guys, as young kids, basically took down the Federation, which ended up being 3 different little cartels, if you would.
Really?
And very interesting stuff. And then he goes into how they caught El Chapo and all that good stuff. And we've already heard on, I think it was the first show that Jack Riley had a death threat put on him by
El Chapo.
El Chapo, and had his picture over there in Suarez, I think.
Well, his son just got indicted, right? Or just got sentenced.
Yep.
So that comes out Monday, but tonight we're going to talk about the most memorable crimes.
Yeah, we just got a bunch of memorable crimes here, and we'd like the audience to chime in. Anybody chime in and
help us out.
We're going to mention a bunch of them, but everybody's. When I was asking all the Romeos up there, what's the most memorable crime? Everybody had to think a minute. It's just like none pops to your mind right away. But when you start thinking about it, you're like, oh yeah, this one and that one and that one. So we're going to give a lot of examples or a lot of crimes that have happened.
And
We'll
we
try to
wanna
come
hear
up,
if
try to
anybody
come up
else
with the
can remember
top
'em.
3. If you guys got one out there you want us to talk about, we've got some. But when we get to that a little later, we'll talk about that. We'll try to come up with our top 3 as we debate it.
Can I answer one of the comments?
Yep.
My cousin Patty Moore.
Patty Grass Moore
wants to know where Vinny is.
Uh-oh. He might be coming back next week. You guys are both gone next week. We got
Yeah.
a good show coming up next week without you two motherfuckers.
It'd be a great show, probably.
I didn't say it. I did not say the ER.
Jeez.
Come on, George Carlin.
That was not one of the words. That was not one of the words.
I think it was.
That was not. John, was that one of the 7 words?
No, sir.
It was not. Okay.
All right, I'm good.
You know why John's in such a good mood today?
Why is that?
He's celebrating today in 1839. Adolphus Bush was born. It's his birthday.
He's one of my leaders, one of my mentors.
He's one of your leaders? Well, he was born in 1839 and he died in 1928, I think.
Yeah, he's one of the predecessors to the founding of Bud Light. God bless him.
1839, founder from a man from Germany. Very good guy.
That was a good day.
Very good day. Very
Cost
good.
me a lot of money over the years.
If you could have it all back, you'd be a couple million.
I wouldn't be as happy.
Wouldn't have nearly as many stories either.
I'm just telling you. A lot of these stories were from Adolphus.
That's true. It's that's good. Hey, it's not too late to get down to Sugar Ford of St. Louis, producer John.
Never too late.
They're still taking care of fire, police,
All them people.
military, veterans, extra $500 off. Mention the brighter side of blue, and they're going to do something special for you.
You're a hero too.
You're a hero too. Yeah, if you mention the brighter side of blue. Yeah, doggone right. JJ, what else is going on?
I don't know.
You got nothing?
No, I got some gripes.
Oh, let's hear them. Let's hear them,
Of
baby.
all ears.
My one gripe, I don't know, it's really not a gripe, but I don't understand. I love Jeeps. You guys have no idea what I'm coming up with.
No, but I'm anxiously awaiting. I can tell you that.
I always wanted a Jeep as a kid. You know what I mean? When you're young, you want a Jeep,
Yep.
a real Jeep.
Jeep roll
Wrangler?
bar.
Jeep Wrangler. My son got one. I was like, man, I always wanted one. Anyway, he got married and had a kid, and now that Jeep's gone. But I don't understand why Jeeps. You see the Jeeps now? They got these little yellow ducks in their.
It's a fad.
It's stupid. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It kind of makes the Jeep thing kind of uncool to me. I'm sorry, the Jeep
Saying it
guys.
softens the blow.
Yes, I mean, I don't get it.
It's
you don't
called
need a roll
camaraderie,
bar.
JJ. I disagree with you on this.
Oh, good. I'm glad you do because I kind of feel bad. I want you to hear your version.
It's a camaraderie amongst the Jeep people. It's a thing that they have. It's so here. This is odd coming from a guy that from Mobile Reserve and SWAT. They always come up with these cute patches and different shirts.
But they're not ducks.
Yeah,
They're not
no, no.
rubber duck.
it's a camaraderie
You know who
thing.
loves
for them.
rubber
Is it
duckies?
the-
Is my granddaughter. She loves the little rubber ducks.
Yeah.
She loves them. My she's
And you would
2.5.
do.
But they sold the Jeep on her. Did they still keep the duck?
They got they got ducks, but not. Michael never put a duck in his windshield. Never.
Even on the Jeep?
No, absolutely not.
I think he's a duck guy.
No, he
It's
is.
just a
Huggy
community.
Huggy the duck dude.
No, Huggy's
It's a
not-
club,
because
the
before
Jeep club.
Huggy Ray sold the car before it became that
The
thing.
duck thing.
The thing about Jeeps, they always said that everybody, when you drive by a Jeep, you always wave. Same thing about Harley Davidson. If you drive a Harley and it's automatic, you wave to another Harley guy. So you wave to him. It's cool. You wave, acknowledge him.
So you're making your own argument. That's all.
but
It's the duck thing.
Harley guys aren't putting rubber ducks on their yellow rubber ducks.
Can you imagine the Mazda people waving at each other? You get an arm.
Jeep, you
You
know
get
what?
a cramp in your arm.
I'm telling you
There's
what.
a Mazda. Hey,
I
what's
don't know
up?
where it started, how it started. Jeeps are cool, but the rubber ducks across your dashboard are stupid.
I disagree.
Every time I ask a Jeep owner what it means, they say, you wouldn't understand,
You're not-
change the subject.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You wouldn't understand. I'm going to buy a Jeep just to find out why.
Okay. Let us know.
You can get the duck, or are you going to be the guy they come to? Why ain't you got a duck on
We
there?
probably, how many customers do you think or viewers we think we're going to lose about this
The
anti-rubber ducky
anti-duck thing. Yeah.
Buy a duck, why not a goose?
Oh.
Here we go.
You know all this.
Here we go.
All this talk about. Let's get to the crimes here soon, but all this. We have to get to a Zen as well, but. All this talk about global warming, and I don't know if it's true or not. The scientists say it's true, but hold on a second. 1913.
Oh, we're going back.
In 1913,
112 years ago.
hold on a second. I should. In Death Valley, California,
Death Valley.
it hit 134 degrees.
Ouch.
It's the highest recorded temperature in the history of the United States.
Can't be true.
In 1913.
We're at global warming now. It cannot be true.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Zip that right into the
I'm
political spin.
gonna stick a duck in your mouth.
All right, go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm with him though. That's a long time ago to
That's a
get
long
hit
time.
134
Hit
degrees.
134.
That's crazy.
Some of the viewers know I went to college in Arizona, and they always used to say, "Hey, man, in Arizona they got that dry heat. You know, it's just that, you know, that's a bunch of bullshit. That sun out there feels like it's tapping you on the shoulder at all times." I showed up my sophomore year, January the 4th, and it was 92 degrees. It was the hottest summer they've ever had. And I'm telling you, coming off Christmas break and then going to 94 and then trying to work out. And
In
whatnot.
January?
No. In January, dude. It was the hottest summer ever, or the hottest winter ever in Arizona, and it was not dry heat. It was
It's just heat.
it was friggin' hot.
It was just
It was
heat.
just the sun was doing this.
Yeah.
You know, you don't like to, and I don't like to be touched. You know,
Yeah.
that sun was touching me, dude.
Touching you like a mug.
It's touching me like a mug.
Producer John,
What do you got?
Yes, sir.
I just want to honor one more thing on this day in 1966. If you can pull up.
I can.
In 1966, Ultraman debuted in Japan.
There
that
he
was
is.
a superhero. JJ,
There you
do you
go.
remember Ultraman, JJ? You're old enough.
It was what year?
I was an Ultraman
1966.
guy.
I remember. I never liked it. I was never into that
Yeah.
kind of shit. I like, I was.
But
a
look
big,
at that picture. That's Ultraman. Look at, you can see it's
got a-
clearly a man in
That's
a,
okay.
a
It was
suit.
cool.
But he's got
And
that
Godzilla.
helmet.
I ain't gonna
Look
lie.
at that helmet, dude.
I watched it.
You did watch it?
I've seen it a few times.
I did
as a
watch it.
young kid.
That helmet was tight. Look at that thing. It's got that
So
thing,
I want
got that thing
all
down the middle.
listeners to chime in with their favorite old school superhero.
Does it have to be Japanese?
No, it does not have to be Ultraman. It could be
Batman.
Robin,
I love Batman and Robin. I love
Davey.
Thurston Howell.
Superman. Thurston Howell.
Davey from Davey and Goliath. What was Davey's last name?
What about Spuds McKenzie?
What about Hulk?
Spuds McKenzie.
What about Hulk? Oh, Spud McKenzie.
We can't stay on thought forever. But Spuds McKenzie is now a superhero
Does anybody?
of Bud Light, so he is a
Mary
superhero
Michelle,
to you, John.
To me,
Looking,
yes.
looking
He's
sharp.
definitely a superhero to you.
Mary Michelle's
Mary Michelle coming
There
up.
she goes.
Handy-
looking
Handyman.
sharp. Tommy Gunn.
I remember
How
him.
does anybody remember Handyman? Huh?
No.
Handyman, John Anderson?
I don't know. Don't know.
I don't know.
Just gotta get.
That was like Tool Time show, whatever. I don't know.
Larry Jordan wants to talk about the third district days. Man,
We're gonna have. I'm gonna have Tony Lockenick and Tony Rask on coming up,
That's all.
and we're gonna
District.
talk about third district shenanigans back in the day.
that's a lot of shenanigans there.
The famous family down there in the third district.
I wanted to do them next week, but Tony Rask is on vacation, so we're gonna get it coming up. Yeah, then we'll talk about the Seahorse family.
Seahorse family.
The Seahorse family, and then he had the Roberts family, he had the Dean family. Oh, there's and with us as part of the Brentwood command staff is Jason's father-in-law, Greg Camoga's here. Jason Simpson's father-in-law, Greg Camoga's here, and we were talking about that upstairs, and we were talking about the famous families of the criminal families of the third district, and the Dean family came up. And that was upstairs, but then as we came down, he remembered another thing that the Dean brothers did, and they had kidnapped a Dalmatian from Anheuser-Busch back in the day. They
A
just took-
live Dalmatian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I asked him. And he acted like I was dumb. He's like, "Well, no, they did I said, they could have took the stone one, but they took the live Dalmatian." But
Yeah,
then he
that-
said that they ended up catching him, and they. Whatever, but I was like, who do you call after you got the Dalmatian? Like, do you call like the front desk? Do you call the front desk Anheuser-Busch and go, "Hey man, I got your Dalmatian, and if you don't pay a certain, what's the going rate on the Dalmatian ransom?"
For all the dog lovers, they got it back safely, and I think the person that had it probably paid the price.
Right.
That was third district.
Yes, the third district caught him. There's a good chance that he might have not enjoyed his decision at the end of it.
Oh my God.
But that was what Dean brothers. But yes, and whoever would put that up, Larry, he's talking about Terry James, and oh yeah,
Bucket Joe, Kevin Ponder. I remember I grew up with Bucket Joe.
Terry
Running
James
around.
is toured.
Yeah.
They're still around. but they're not.
Terry
policemen.
James is still around. I don't know
I don't know about
about
Stewart.
Dan. I think his name was Dan. Well, Dan Stewart.
The
wasn't
ball
it?
head, Dan Stewart. Yep.
Terry James still doing good, I hear.
You know,
Yeah.
But who the hell is Bucket
Larry
Joe?
Jordan is an old
Bucket
head
Joe,
third
he was
district
just
guy
a-
right there.
Oh,
I like
guy
that.
on the street, Bucket Joe.
Bucket Joe.
He threw out Terry James and Stewart. Those are back in the day detectives. Back in the
Terry James was a mentor. I don't know Stewart, but Terry James was a mentor. A lot of the guys my age and
Oh,
that
yeah.
came on and
Right.
Jimmy
He's a
Long
good
and
dude.
all them guys.
Yep.
Yep, he was one guy you wouldn't want to mess with. He was
No,
tough.
and he was just a good detective.
He was.
Just a solid detective.
He'd be good to have on.
Yes.
Yeah.
hey, Mary Michelle, who the hell's Handyman?
I don't know.
We already asked. We don't know.
I think I think it's a superhero.
It's
It's like a superhero that goes around to housewives and fixes all their shit.
You know who's not a superhero when it comes to handyman stuff?
Who's that?
Me.
I call the
Me
guy.
neither.
I'm
Me
a call
neither.
the guy specialist.
I got a guy for
I'm
you.
a call the guy specialist. And if I don't have a guy, I'll call somebody that asks if they got a guy.
Yeah.
It's great calling someone else to do it.
JJ,
Yo.
we have a lot of memorable crimes to talk about. So before we get there, is there any chance you have a Zen?
I do. We're gonna. I guess I do.
What do you got, JJ?
You hesitated. I don't know.
Come strong now.
I thought it was me later, but it won't happen overnight. But if you quit, it won't happen at all. I'm not repeating it. That was it. It's
If
good.
It won't happen overnight.
It won't happen overnight. But if you quit, it won't happen at all.
And I think that kind of refers to our podcast. We started out a long time ago.
Yeah.
And we kept going. And we had like 2 followers. And now we got how many?
6, at least 6.
At least 6.
6 or 8.
But
We're
how
moving.
But how long have we been doing this podcast, right? It's almost
Not even 2 years.
really
It'll be 2 years.
Almost a little over a year and a half.
almost 2 years longer than I thought it would.
Never missing a Thursday. Not one.
We haven't missed one yet.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom.
And that's thanks to the listeners because they keep us, when we see it growing and the likes and the subscribes and the shares, that's all we ask. And we're actually having a lot of fun though too. I mean,
Yeah.
we get a lot of people down here that we haven't seen in a while, like we did today, and we get to chat with them, and they get to have a good time out in the crowd and having a lot of fun.
Love it.
Columbos are building us a studio. So yeah, it's been a hell of a lot of
It's just a
fun.
neat platform for us not to have to hush up about any bullshit that law enforcement is being put upon.
Right.
Right.
So, and we can
and
call
have
it
fun.
out
That's
and
the
have fun
one
doing
thing
it.
that I love bringing the crime stories to everybody and like the things today with the Flores twins, or whether it be some of the cases that we're going to talk about here that we've had on the show that are memorable crimes. And it's just, that's fun to me, but hanging out and having fun, that's the most fun of this podcast to me.
Oh,
And it, whether it draws
100%.
listeners or not, that's what's the most fun to me.
as long as we're having fun, who cares about everything else?
Right. Can we get our drinks paid for on Thursday? Shit.
Good gig.
No, but we get to be
Genius.
open about
Absolutely.
what law enforcement actually does on a daily basis and some of the media bullcrap that they put up with, and the defund the police movement, which it just has not gone well anywhere that it's happened. And so we get to go off on that.
Well, and then too, Danny, I think people can see that over the years we've developed pretty special friendship between all of us and a lot of the people that come down here, and that's what we want younger kids to see. Hopefully, is that this is a good job, like you said one day, is that you can put kids through college, you can put kids through whatever high schools you want. You got to work hard, but that's anywhere. Nobody's sending their kids to school for free, and nobody works hard behind it. Somebody's working hard.
Yeah.
But the police department's no different, and the special relationships you make over there, hopefully we can exemplify that too as we go along.
Yeah, my thing is about being a policeman. I've never dreaded going to work. I've always looked forward to going to work, and it's the most fun occupation you can really have. It's got camaraderie. It's exciting. It's never boring. Every day is different.
Interesting.
And I could not imagine sitting at a desk every day, which no one would probably hire me to sit at a desk every day, do anything. But
I think you're at the only job that'll hire you.
Except for maybe like paint the desk.
I mean, being an accountant, they're all noble jobs and they're good jobs. Make more money probably, definitely. But there's no more fun. There's not a better job for camaraderie and having fun. It's a great career, in my opinion.
Absolutely. But that's just one other.
Go ahead,
Best thing
producer.
is you never know what's going to happen in the course of the day. Anything, you could deal with the richest man in the world or the poorest man. You could, any possibility, but you never know because a lot of the time you're not doing anything or doing mundane things. But when that radio pops, then it's on. It's instant adrenaline. And
I always said that was the difference between being a street policeman and a detective in a way. Is that as a street policeman, you never knew what you had coming that day.
Right.
You know, as a
100%.
detective, you know, you usually, I got to work on this case, and I'm working on this
Right.
case, and I'm working on that case. But as a street policeman, you know, like John said, you don't know whether you're going to walk into one of the funniest domestic disturbances or one of the most dangerous domestic disturbances.
Yeah.
Because they can all be different,
It's
Or one of
exciting.
the most awkward domestic disturbances.
Those are-
And like
those are
producer
out there,
John
too.
kind of alluded to, you'd find yourself in a domestic call with multi-millionaire people, a couple that is highly influential in the state, and here you are, a 23-year-old patrolman, getting the call to mitigate this domestic dispute with these people that are power brokers, and you're like,
Right.
You were definitely in the 9th district because I never came across those people.
oh yeah,
I didn't come across too many of those.
Second district,
But the
ninth
other
district,
one
yeah.
was the other one is that you come in, and the husband and wife or whoever are fighting, and they're fighting, and you go to break this thing up, and all of a sudden you're the bad guy. Everybody's
They
on
turn
you.
on you for sure.
Right, and these two people that were fighting are now, we've got them in unison. They're all good with each other.
Yeah,
Because now they just hate you.
yeah,
Why you got to lock him up?
yeah.
So
You're the one that called us to this
right,
party.
exactly.
Hey.
And I just want to
I've
get
been
out
on-
of here.
I've been on forever, for a long time, and I had vacation. I took vacation after last 4th of July. I was like, I'm not doing this again. It was crazy. Then I heard there was a game plan. I'm like, I'm gonna work. So I actually picked my vacation and decided I got to work this weekend. So it's my own fault, but I was glad I did. I enjoyed every minute of it. It was chaotic, and we worked 2 hours overtime. We got off at 4 a.m. But I wouldn't have missed it. And but I will not work next year.
I always
So I
like
say.
4th of July, man.
you earned it, pal.
I did earn it, and so, but it is what it is. But it
And like I said, we support law enforcement on this podcast. So everybody in America and the world that listens to our show, when you see these parades and you see these fireworks going on, you see all these shows, and they start and they end safely, and everybody goes home. There are millions of law enforcement officers around the world that are seeing to that.
Right.
They're not home with their families. They're making sure you get to go to see that show and enjoy it, and then go home safely. And then they go home and be with their families, and everybody's in bed already.
it's a great point, Danny.
You know?
And my old training officer used to tell me sometimes police work's not convenient.
Yeah, it's never convenient. It's never convenient. So,
But if you're having fun, it's more fun, right? The inconveniences can turn into fun.
yeah, it is what you make out of it, and it's a good career. And like we talked about it is an honorable career, and we do recommend you go and become a policeman.
Well, we're gonna start, doing this thing a lot. We're, like I said, we're got some things coming up where we're gonna do a lot more with different municipalities and being out on the street a little bit. But we just want to bring that the human side of police officers to people.
Yep.
That's what hopefully that we do with everybody that listens to us. Might not agree with everything we do, but we're not bad people.
Yep. Do we have a musings from the microphone
Come on,
with
Johnny.
producer John?
What do you got?
Brought to you by St. Louis ClassicRock.com.
They're in the house.
All right.
Their record show is this weekend at the American Czech Hall at Lansdowne and Kings Highway.
I remember that place.
For you audiophiles out there in your record, especially the people who like the vinyl, there's a dozen plus vendors with all the Casey classics, a lot of DVDs and other memorabilia too. But it's a great time. It starts at 8 in the morning with the early bird,
Right behind the White Castle.
right behind the
Yeah,
White
exactly.
Castle.
Yeah,
Know
good,
that.
Tommy.
You know that.
But
Can
if you
I-
like
can I-
music, it's fun being around a bunch of other people who really are passionate about music, and I'll be there. So
Can I say one thing?
sure.
Paul Drago, his son was killed. They're having a fundraiser for a charity at the Bocce Club. Too close.
On the hill.
On the hill on Sunday from noon to 6.
All right.
So I just want to get that in. I know we're
And you can just show up and
just show up. And
Yep.
there's good raffle, all kinds of good stuff, and it's for a good cause.
might have to head down there.
I will head down there.
Yeah,
The
it's-
Bocce
it's a
Club.
very-
Go make
it's
an
a very
appearance.
good cause.
I like that.
and it's a neat event, and a lot of people show up. and it's a lot. You'll see a lot of people.
Oh, you'll-
down there.
And that
You'll
creates,
blood.
the Bocce Club's just a neat place.
Right. I got to work the soccer game at 6, so,
Oh,
but
Lord.
I'm going to show up. It starts at noon, so I'm going to go there before, hang out for a while.
That's no fun.
But I'm going to buy myself a raffle ticket, and it's July 13th, right? That's my
Yep.
father's birthday. That's my lucky number. Sorry to say, but I'm probably going to win that raffle.
You're going to win it.
Well, then I won't even buy a ticket then.
No, you should.
I'll buy a ticket just to donate money.
Yeah. So can you smoke some Ponder cigars in the
So
Bocce
John
Club?
didn't have
You
a
could
musing.
outside. They get an outside place. You can.
Can we get to
The
John's
outside
musing?
part you can't.
He never
Was that your
mused.
musing?
He never mused.
That was my
Tease?
that was my plug for my
He was
for
teasing
my
the
sponsor.
St. Louis Classic thing, and,
I am so sorry.
I am. So,
and
I'm
then
more
you two
sorry.
just took it over.
Well, you know what?
Next
It
thing
was-
you know,
Tommy made me do a shot. That's his fault.
no, you're much better on shots.
Sorry, producer John. Go with your musing.
John, what do you got, baby?
You guys hijacked my musing. It's nothing big, but I was glad to see in the paper that that the site of the Millennium Hotel was purchased by a nonprofit who's going to work with the Cordish Company to build a 1 million square foot complex down there, housing, restaurants, office space.
Awesome.
They're going to have an amphitheater. They're going to have an overlook deck. It's going to be really neat. But, you know, that's a prime location. But from a police perspective, how many of our big events did we used to have at the Millennium? You know, all the
yeah.
prayer
Ward-
breakfasts and
ward shows.
awards and
Or-
Backstoppers used to have a lot of their dinners there.
And they fed us during the VP fair.
Oh
The
yeah.
VP
Yeah.
Fair. That was always one of the highlights. You'd go in there and they treat us like kings in there.
Oh,
back in
yeah.
the
How
day.
did you find that out? That's pretty cool.
You got people?
You got people.
St. Louis Business Journal.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
for real
That's
people.
good.
But
Well,
yeah, and actually the city had a press conference yesterday. But it's
that helped.
I know you're sleeping.
JJ wasn't at that.
That wasn't. I've been working till 4 a.m. every day. So
But anyway, another step forward for the city, and
That's going to be huge.
That's good.
that's huge.
we see a lot of like positive things going on in the city.
The entertainment district is going to be awesome.
That's going to be huge.
It's a game changer. I think.
Tommy, it's time to get on to our memorable crimes.
All right, so I got a
in
list.
St. Louis
I got a
history.
list, and like I said, I asked a lot of people. You know, what's the
Some of
most
those are
memorable crime?
from me, and
So we're not gonna, you know, the serial ones. The truck, the Maury Travis. He was a serial killer, and Dennis was serial. It was just one crime. That when you think of crimes in St. Louis, what is it? You know, and everybody I asked, like I said, they would all have to think a little bit. And then some of the ones that came up were, of course, some of the shows that we've had on. We had Chris Pappas on for the Fudo murders. Emery Fudo married.
Murdered.
He murdered his two brothers. I'm sorry I laughed about this, but he murdered his two brothers and his mom and dad.
And Danny knew him.
yep.
And he went to DeBerg. And now that, yeah, we won't. I already said Rabbit. He went to DeBerg, but
Yep.
we'll leave that off. The National Food Store murder, 1987. Joe Burgoon told that story.
Yep.
5 people killed at in execution style. That was very, very publicized. The Pope Cafeteria murders. That was one of that. It doesn't come to mind right away, but that happened in 1980 in the West County Mall. And during those murders, it was four people were murdered. Ended up the guy that did it, you know, was a cleaning guy or something like that. Came back and murdered four of the employees.
Psychopath.
And then they found him in South Carolina, I believe.
Really?
The other one that came up was Dennis Bullock. You remember him? Anybody remember Dennis Bullock?
Dennis Bullock.
You remember Dennis Bullock, John?
I remember the name, but
Yeah, I do too.
refresh me on that.
Dennis Bullock, actually, he was only convicted of manslaughter because he had killed his wife in what he claimed to be a sexual deal in the garage where she was
yeah.
duct taped to a chair and
I
he
do
burned her. And
Oh yeah.
and they had gotten married just like 4 months before that. And it turns out that this Dennis Bullock has also killed his ex-wife, or she's dead too. So Dennis came up in there. The other one was the Isa child.
Yeah.
And that was told by Harry Hager on one of our earlier shows. And the mother and the father of this girl were suspected terrorists, I guess you're going to call them. And there was advice in the house that they could listen to these people because of their suspected terrorist ties. And they caught the killing of the daughter and the mother and the father.
She became too Americanized, and they were
Right.
scared that she was going to snitch him out.
Yes.
Right, and that, to team up against
Your
for
own
your
daughter?
parents to team up against the daughter, that's pretty good.
And if you remember that he stabbed her so hard that there were stab marks in the floor. He actually went through her and actually stabbed.
Yeah.
The floor had marks from her stab.
Your own daughter.
And then
Your own daughter,
the wife jumping in to help, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
The Isa murders. Okay.
And then we've got the Jimmy Michaels car bombing on the highway. A lot of people mention that one. That's
Probably more memorable for
for the spectacularness of it.
Right.
Using a bomb that was, that's pretty gruesome sights on the news from what I remember.
Right.
And then you got the Billy Armentrout that Bill McDonough told that story back in the day where he killed his grandmother and they, because he was a dope addict and whatnot, and they ended up finding her in a trunk. We usually put comforters and stuff like that. They found her in a closet. And then you got the one that came up just recently, right before we started the show, was Cousin Hugo's.
Cousin Hugo's.
And Cousin Hugo's is in the edge of Maplewood and, kind of near the city.
What year was that, though? That was wild.
72.
1972. And in that one, there was a Crestwood Detective Galino. And he had just gotten done with I think a 12 or a 14-hour shift. And he went down there to have a beer before he went home. And they came in, 5 people were ended up charged with it. But they came in and they ordered everybody down, and they found out he was a policeman.
All right.
And
They saw his badge and gun, right?
Right. They ended up killing him. And then the other person they killed was walking out of the bathroom, and they stabbed that person. And
I want to add one.
go ahead.
Chris Coleman, Joyce Meyer's guy. Security guard.
That's a good one.
That
Good
was in-
ad.
that was in,
I don't have that here.
It is. I think November 13th. I actually looked it up before when you told me we're going
So you
to.
just decided to surprise me.
Yes.
All right.
November
I like that.
13th, 2021. He killed his family and he killed his 2 boys and he strangled them because he was in love with some girl in Florida. But after he killed them, he had been pre-planning this thing and setting up and doing drawing or paintings on the. He was getting email or things in his mailbox or whatever. I think something like that. But anyway, he killed his whole family.
And then he put some shit on the wall to try to distract people.
Yeah, right, there you go. And then he drove across the JB Bridge, where I live right close to it. Went to the workout.
Joyce Myers.
He worked out. Went and worked out at Club Fitness, and then came back and he was all shocked that his family was killed.
And he worked with Joyce Meyer. I
Yeah,
think he
was
worked for
this-
Joyce Meyer.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he was security for Joyce Meyer.
Yes, that's pretty gruesome.
He's
That's
the
a
most-
that's a good ad. That might end up in our top 3. I don't know. It's got a shot.
If you think about it, that's the most gruesome. How could you? What kind of psychopath could kill his wife and his 2 kids? I almost laughed by. I can see, understand.
But this is a good one. Is the
2 kids.
Michael
That's
Devlin?
unreal.
Michael Devlin, kidnapping of Sean Hornbeck.
The Hornbecks. Yep.
Just a one incident, but it came back 10, 15 years later. We heard a little bit about that from JW.
Yep.
Shit.
Um,
Oprah talked about it.
yeah.
Saved it.
And then you've got the Carey sisters from the Chain of Rocks Bridge. The prosecution of that was a little on and off. And, they may have arrested the wrong people at the beginning and then got the right people. But as if there's anyone else, can you guys think of any other ones?
I got one.
What do you got?
I sent out to my my text string, and Chief Mocha sent one in.
Oh.
And this is one he's talked about a lot. He didn't talk about it on our show. I don't believe. But Melissa Appman was a WashU student. Her and her girlfriend went to Chewy's up the street here in Dogtown for dinner. They came out, and these 2 kids from St. Louis. The WashU students weren't from St. Louis. Melissa was from Miami, and her girlfriend was from New Jersey. Melissa was getting ready to graduate in a few weeks. This was in May of '95. And these 2 kids, they were cousins, and they were down here. They took the bus down, and they were drinking wine, walking around. Well, they got tired of walking. It was kind of cold that night. and they see these two girls walking to their Jeep Cherokee, so they decide to carjack them. So they grab the two gals, throw them in the back seat of the Jeep, and they take off. Well, Gail started screaming, or Melissa started screaming. Well, they turn around and shoot her in the neck right away.
Jesus.
And they take off and they go over to East St. Louis, and they find a park somewhere, and they dump her in the park, and then they shoot her in the face 3 times. And then they take off with the second victim and take her to Washington Park, rape her repeatedly, and then shoot her in the face 3 times.
Damn.
But the second gal lived, and they found her, and anyway, they got enough evidence together, and I think probably a lot of people in this room worked on that case, because they had them, like, that night they took down every plate in Dogtown, and we had to run them all, because they figured maybe the suspect left the vehicle here and took it anyway. Through a bunch of investigations and great police work, they identified the 2 suspects, and they were eventually caught. One was 16, the other one was like 18 or 19.
Holy shit.
Oh, geez, what the heck?
But the 19-year-old got federal time for it, and then the younger kid got certified, of course, but I don't think he did. He might have got federal time too, but they did not get the death penalty.
And what was that called? What did you call it? What did the chief call that murder? How do you refer to it?
Can you go back?
That one memorable
something?
one.
Can you go back to our live stuff that people are talking about? Read it.
JJ's over here reading shit.
I know.
John's
We
telling a
actually-
very, very
No,
good
no, I'm
story, and
talking about-
JJ's over here reading comments.
Did Moquit, did he chime in on?
No, you
online?
texted him.
Oh, I'm
They're
sorry.
buddies.
No, I texted
He
him.
must be watching.
No,
How did he know to call on this? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I sent a text out earlier today
Okay.
to several people.
How does he tick? How does he? How does he tick?
How did I know that? And he just
How did he know that? Because we've been talking about the last 2 days that this Thursday's subject's going to be most memorable
I know, but he brought
crimes.
this up. I assumed he was talking about he might came online. Sorry, but I still want to go back.
If you really cared, you would have texted your friends too.
Hey, I don't. But I actually.
What did the chief refer to those?
Let's go up a
I'm
little
trying to
bit
get
and
my
read
list
some-
together.
Read some of the comments so we can.
What did he refer
answer
to
the-
those as?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, he always referred to me as one of the. He said during his tenure that was one of the ones that bothered him the most.
What was the victims' names?
Melissa Aptman.
Yeah, so that's how he
Right.
referred to Apton murder.
So
Apton
what I
and-
wanted to do, if you take because if you really think about it, to us, the ones that'll come in first place are when policemen were murdered. And,
yeah, those are all tied for
those
first.
are off the side, and then. And Chief Moco just put in a personal one, and I asked Mikey Mueller, and he put in a personal one. But I'm talking about things that when you've lived in St. Louis for 20, 25 years, if somebody brings these up,
You know
you
it.
know exactly what they're.
That's a good
you know what they're talking about.
That's a good point.
Because a lot of these things, and so if we're going to name our top 3, where are we going to start? What are you going to start with, JJ? Within your top 3 of the things we mentioned, what do you got?
And what's the parameter? The most dynamic.
The most memorable one.
Oh.
It doesn't, and take being a policeman out of it.
Oh, that's
Think
100%.
more of a civilian and go, I
That's
remember
easy for
that.
me.
That's easy for me. Can I go first?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's got to be the bombing of Jimmy Michaels.
Okay. Danny?
I'm going to go with the Fudo murders.
I like that.
That's a good call for you.
I'm going to go with the ice of murders.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm going with those is that anytime a mother and father team up to do what they did to that poor child.
Not to criticize you on that one, but no one knew about that until we heard it from
Major Hager.
Major Hager.
Right.
But that was, I mean, that is the most gruesome, most horrific of all of them.
And I'm trying to stay with memorable, but it was so
Oh.
just.
It's crazy.
And then producer John, what do you got,
got?
as one of them?
Besides Don Denkinger call in the World Series.
That was absolute. That was absolute robbery.
No, I think it was a national food murders. Just
Yeah.
listening to it.
I agree.
Yeah, that's a
not
good
just
one.
the number of people who were killed, but listen to Joe Burgoon tell it, and these were good people, hardworking people,
Right. That's horrific.
and they didn't do anything to deserve to get shot, and they got wasted for no reason. Over,
And they lined them down and executed them, laying down,
Oh,
face
yeah.
down.
That was
Yeah.
horrific.
And going to what Tommy was saying, you were saying it, mention to any St. Louis, and whether you're police or not, if you mention the national food store murders, everybody remembers them.
Depending on the age, right?
Yeah, because it was in 87.
Right.
It happened in 87.
So a lot of the younger kids aren't going to remember that, but and a lot of them aren't going to remember a lot of stuff we didn't.
Right.
There's
fly.
really nothing here that's recent. What's the most recent, most memorable one?
Hey, Vincent Jones sent in the little girl with her head was cut off.
Yes.
Yeah, well, he talked about that.
Yes. That
Joe
was the
Burgoon
one
talked
with,
about that.
Brian McGlynn.
Yeah.
Brian McGlynn.
Brian McGlynn and Joe. Joe talked about it too.
Yeah.
It still
But yes,
haunts-
that's
it
a
still
good
haunts
one.
those detectives to this day.
Found her in the basement under the house on Maple, Vincent, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
No, those are, and then I think that.
So David Miller.
The post murders.
We had Bill McClellan talked about the post murders.
The post murders down in the Union Station where the husband and wife came to town.
Yeah.
I believe I think Dean Hogue might have prosecuted that, or maybe Tom Dittmeyer. Hopefully, we're going to get Tom Dittmeyer on here pretty soon.
Bill
And,
McClellan wrote about that.
Yep.
Yeah, evidence of murder.
Yeah.
He wrote an actual book on it.
And then there was somebody had brought up the Lindell murder right up the or the Lindell Bank thing right up the street.
That's a good one.
That was
That
and not to make light out of a horrible situation, but in that
What a great
particular,
one. The most recent one, Mary Michelle just hit it on the
the
head.
St. Louis school shooting,
The St. Louis-
absolutely.
That's
Jesus, what
the
are
hell
we
thinking?
thinking?
She's good. That's the
we have
most
a
recent.
podcast.
Yeah, we didn't even mention that.
Morons is
Mary's
what we
come down
are.
and just sit
That
down here
just
with us.
took. That's like number
That
one.
just- yeah,
Boom.
that's
That's
number
why
one.
we started the podcast.
Yeah.
All right, number one.
Let's go
Yeah,
back. To,
thank you, Mary
let's
Michelle.
go back to Lindell though. That was horrific. And that poor security guard was killed for no reason.
And they had watched the movie The Heat or
Exactly.
Heat the night before,
Exactly.
or whatever.
It was a mock. It was a repeat.
And they came in and it was an overtake.
Right.
So unfortunately they shot the security guard there, but instant
Unarmed security guard.
karma kicked.
he was getting coffee. And he
Yeah.
came in.
But instant karma kicked in for these nitwits.
yeah.
And when they got on the high, so what they did was they watched this movie. So the Lindell Bank that we're talking about is at McCausland and 40. Then it was actually on March the 17th, St. Patrick's Day. And this is at the edge of Dogtown, and Dogtown is an absolute mess on March 17th. People everywhere. So they robbed this bank in the morning, 10 in the morning, whatever, and there were people everywhere. Well, I don't think they didn't take into effect the Dogtown in St. Louis effect for St. Patrick's Day. But they did it anyway. And they had stolen a car and they had put it over in Forest Park, which is right across Highway 40 for those that don't live in St. Louis. And then they put it near the mounted police.
Right.
And the plan was they were in a stolen car.
Van.
They were going to then when they were done, they were going to take this car, go get their other car, and burn the car they were in.
Right.
So prior to the robbery, they filled the car up with gasoline so the car would burn really good. So they had the car doused in gasoline. And then as they were doing their getaway, there's a car that's following them that's on 911, and they know that these people have done something. So they're following them, and they're saying, okay, we've got a citizen on the phone that's following. They're getting off it. And they got on at McCausland, and they're getting off at Hampton to go get their car. Well, as they're on the highway there, the one idiot decides that he's going to check to make sure the lighter works. So when they stop, that he can light the car on fire. Well, by pre-dousing the van, there was fumes all in the car. So when he went to strike his lighter to see if it worked, it ignited the entire van. It went up and it was just up in flames. Well, another little karma happens quickly is that the guy who was in the passenger seat also had a prosthetic leg. But he had not been to the doctor in a hot minute. So he kept his prosthetic leg attached to his normal leg with duct tape. So, however, when the car went up in flames, the duct tape melted. So as they're driving, the car is then the person on 911 is going, the car's up in flames. There's flames coming out the window. Well, they're getting off at Hampton and they go back towards the park to get to their car. Well, they can't take no more. They got to get out. The flames have overtaken the car, and they get out and run. Well, the dude with the prosthetic gets out and runs. Well, the flame had melted the adhesive on the prosthetic, and it had fallen off, and now he's trying to run one-legged. So a guy by the name of Charlie Steele, who was a retired lieutenant, he had to be 80 at the time. He catches that guy right away. Well, the other guy gets away, and he had taken some of the money, but the money was burnt, from the thing. So he had taken this duffel bag, and he gets away because the car is not too far from where he ran. He gets in that car, and he goes away, and or he's out there. So then when the investigation starts, the 7-Eleven at Gravois and Jefferson, they go in, and that guy that got away, he had to have a little taquito or some shit, whatever you can buy at 7-Eleven. He went in.
Burnt ass $5 bill.
He went in and bought that shit with a burnt money. And the clerk, it's all over the news. So the clerk calls the police. And I want to say Randy Sassinger was involved in that too. And he went in, they looked at the tape, and he goes, "That's so-and-so." And they went right over to his house and knocked on the door. They got him. They got some of the burnt money. And
Oh, my
Can
God.
we back up a little bit?
go
Sure,
ahead.
JJ.
Mobile Reserve was working that day. And
Well,
that's
sure they were. They were everywhere.
And we were there. And actually, I believe that Joe Marisi and Burley are the ones that tracked that, ran the one-legged guy down. Grabbed him.
I think they took him over from Charlie. They're going to take credit for it.
Oh,
But the 82-year-old Charlie Steele made the arrest, dude.
All right.
Hey,
okay.
no.
They
if
just told
think
you
it's
they
just-
made
I
the
think
arrest.
it's just the opposite.
Tommy, if he
Right.
needs this, if Mobile
No,
Reserve
Right,
needs,
Mobile needs a one-legged
I know.
arrest.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to back
all
check.
yours.
I'm going to back
Good
check
job.
this because I know Burley and Marisi grabbed the guy, and then your buddy Charlie took the credit for him.
Wow.
But I remember we circled the.
No, I think I'll take the opposite.
I don't know.
I'll take the opposite.
All I know is we
They
were
just
there,
took
and we-
credit that they grabbed a one. And then can you really take that
telling
much
you.
credit for grabbing a one-legged dude?
I'm just.
I mean,
they're not
come
taking
on,
credit.
man. I mean-
Mobile was, we were there when it came out.
I'd rather hear the
I was
guy.
working, and we actually had, and we were told to circle Forest Park is huge, largest city park in the country. We were told to surround it and try to, contain them. And we ended up losing the one guy, and then who ended up getting
one
caught.
that
Man, that would have been more
No,
impressive
no.
if you caught the guy that could run.
Well, you're right, but it's a big park. So they ended up finding him later in a house in the Central West End, I believe. Right? Am I right?
You all right?
In the basement, hiding.
It wasn't on the Central West End. It was in the 3rd District.
Well, okay, I might be off on that, but I'm not sure I am. But I really need.
Yeah, you are.
I really wish Joe Marisi and Burley were watching right now because they'd call in and tell me the story. But I know that I was there.
we're
Yeah,
willing to
they-
give
telling you they were-
Mobile
we're-
all credit.
82-year-old Charlie Steele made the arrest.
Yeah, exactly.
He wasn't 82
All
at
right,
the
so
time.
He was
You
in the
can't take
Batmobile
credit
back
for
then.
him.
Well, 200 years of police history, and it comes down to the one-legged guy getting caught by Charlie Steele in the park. That is
This just sounds.
listen.
Right. So we,
All right, listen. We're live right now, and we got a bunch of people throwing stuff out there. I think we need to answer some of these people. Vincent Jones got statements.
Right.
We go back up a little bit.
intern Patrick's out there dealing with all. He's just out there running with the crowd.
Yeah, what
Not
good is
even
he?
helping out
What
John.
good is he?
Is it?
John, go up a little bit. And let's
So,
answer
Poor
I-
John
this
just got
question.
off of surgery. He don't know.
Yeah, I already see the one. Go down one more, John. Keep going down.
Mary
Michelle was strong with that. So Josh Fuller, I remember this. The manager of the Drury Inn on Hampton. I saw the videos.
Oh,
I was
that was
still
a
on the
good one.
job. Yeah.
that was a bad one.
Yeah.
I mean, a bad one, but yeah. and that was
44
on
in
video.
Hampton.
Yeah. Next to
Good call, Josh.
Osteria. Josh, that was a good one. Yep. And,
But I think I don't know that
it doesn't
tracks
hit
our
the top
five,
three.
Our top
No.
four.
No.
We're going to do a top four because we can all pick only one.
Vincent Jones said to go back. 2 men killed the security guard, Lindell Bank, took them at federal Heathrow and gave them life without parole and federal death row. The guys in Lindell Bank are on death row, right?
Yeah, federal death. All right, that's very good.
I like it.
Mo just signed in. All right,
He's
so,
one-legged.
so here's what we're gonna do now.
What we got, Dan?
Mount Rushmore of crimes, memorable crimes.
So
because-
that would be the top four. We don't.
well, Mary
I don't
Michelle
want-
gets the one, the number one. The
Yeah, the
stainless
shooting.
steel
So one of us has
shooting.
got to get bounced.
No.
Oh yeah, who's getting bounced?
All right.
I got the Isa murders.
Just remember this.
Let's go with 5.
I think
one
Tommy
for
gets
each of
bounced.
us and one
I think the Isa
for
murders might get bounced.
All right.
It's getting bounced, but the
I
memorable.
think the Isa one gets bounced.
100%.
No. The national,
National's big.
National. Everybody knows
right.
about the name.
And then the Isa murder wasn't the spectacular to where it got a bunch of news attention.
You never heard of it until
Right.
we got done the podcast.
We're going with the school shooting,
Yep. The
the
school
Fudo
shooting.
murderers,
Yep.
ISA,
No.
and National.
National and no, you had one.
Jimmy
What was
Michaels.
yours? Jimmy Michaels. That's over the ISA.
I got a trivia question. So those are the ones we're going
ISA.
with.
No, Jimmy Michaels, the bombing on the highway over ISA. Then that'll be the final
Memorable.
four.
That's St. Louis famous.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
But here's a trivia question that one of our people in the audience. By the way, Camille made it in.
Oh,
Camille made
Camille.
it in. Camille.
for those that don't know, Camille's going through some tough
Some
times
stuff.
right now, and she's battling.
And she's a
But
winner.
she made sure she was here, and we appreciate that.
Yeah.
And
So shout
God
out
bless
to Camille.
her. God bless.
So trivia question that in the history of the United States, name the one mobster that was actually by the government prosecuted and put to death.
I know the answer.
Yeah, I know because we heard it together. We heard this from somebody in the audience.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, can you
So
believe this?
obviously, it's somebody from St. Louis, so I'm going to say one of the Michaels.
No, no.
Anthony Leisure.
You're close.
I'm sorry, one of the Leisures. That's what I meant to say, one of the Leisures.
Yeah, no, but you didn't. You don't get to do that. You can't do that
No,
in Jeopardy.
He knows. He knew.
You
I
can't.
knew
You
what I was
can't say
saying.
something
JJ
else.
knew what I was saying. You just got to understand me when I'm at a certain level of highness and drunkenness. And JJ's got it over the years. He knew what I meant.
And you know what? And then
But that's pretty amazing,
I
isn't it,
don't,
John?
even, I don't like going down this road, but Jimmy Michaels was interviewed before it, and he said he did not want that to happen. The families have been had enough pain and sorrow that they don't need it, so he actually didn't want it to happen. And
Yeah.
they did. Well, he wasn't. It wasn't his
It
decision.
wasn't his decision.
No, not at all.
But I thought it was
Yeah.
classy. Then.
Hey,
No, Josh just brought another good one up. Was the volleyball player that got hit by that nut ball, crushed her legs. I mean, when you're talking about memorable and things that people remember St. Louis for, that's going to be one of them.
Yeah, Karen Gelker chimed in leisure. She just didn't put Anthony, and I went to.
Karen?
I'm sure
Hey,
I went to
Karen.
high school with Karen, phenomenal soccer player. If you're the same Karen Gelker, but I think you are, and very, 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 very good fullback.
Size back. No, that was another one. I'm not good at soccer.
Yeah, I suck at soccer, but she plays pickleball. But I don't know. But I think
Great.
it just would be weird.
Josh
to be the
Fuller
same
is
name.
on everything, dude.
Yeah, Josh is good.
Josh Fuller's he comments on a lot of our stuff now. He didn't find us not too long ago. He's up to date on all the shit.
We might have to bring him on the show.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly.
He loves. And then there's a guy by the name of Tyler, Mob Family. I don't know exactly his handle on YouTube, but he loves mob stuff. Loves mob stuff, and he's always with suggestions. And there's a guy by the name of Alfie Zaza that chimes in all the time. And Alfie admits that he was not he took the other side back in the day.
Yeah.
And he mentions that he was the guy by the name of Campbell on the Major K squad hated him. They just hated him because he was always fucking with him. And I just said, hey, with age comes wisdom, right?
Yeah.
And now he says, and then he was one of the first ones that chimed in on the when we had Mark Wassam on, and the title of the show was Catching a Cop Killer.
Yeah.
He was the first one that chimed in and said these guys just do a great job. Now this guy was on the other side for a long period of time, and he can't be more complimentary of what we're doing. And
Really?
unfortunately, what St. Louis is known for is the Cardinals, the Blues, the Arch, and crime.
Well,
I mean,
a lot of major cities are. I'm not busting balls on that.
Hey, I want to break some news that Ricky Ray brought up as John Kelly's out as a Blues announcer.
Oh,
what happened?
I don't know. It was like a mutual parting of ways.
You're kidding me. That's
So
crazy.
the Kelly family's been broadcasting Blues games since like day one.
Does he
Yeah.
does he want to retire, or you don't know?
wow.
I think I would have to guess that it came down to money. That's just I'm just throwing it out there.
He's good, man. Someone's going to
That's
snatch
Just
him up.
throwing it out there. What do you think?
They're going to snatch somebody good. Maybe Panger's coming back.
Where are
I
you
don't
guys
know.
going? You guys are leaving me. Where are you guys going next week? What are you guys doing?
I'm going down to Naples.
So you'll be available.
Yeah, I'll be available. I'll be with my son.
I only want you on for like 5 minutes, so
I'm good for
not.
you.
I don't need you on the whole show.
It was Karen Gelker
I got
from
it.
DeBerg, phenomenal soccer player,
All right.
Hall of Famer. Yep.
All right.
Yep, it was.
JJ, where are you going?
Top secret.
So,
No, I'm going to visit my daughter
Where?
in Newport Beach. Just me.
Newport Beach. You going to be on the show?
I'll call in.
I'll call him.
All right. All right.
I'll call him
So
with
you
it.
guys can be there. I'm going to have Malachek on and somebody else.
Good.
All right.
Because I'm looking forward to you guys being gone, to tell you the truth.
I'm looking forward
Not
to
as
being
much as
gone.
we are. Tommy, tell us about our neighborhoods.
They're a lot safer when you support law enforcement, that's for sure.
All across. Whoa. Producer
What do we
John's
got?
on to
Producer
something.
John says arms up.
What about Campbell Security, Riverman Cigar?
CampbellSecurityGroup.com.
Well,
Corby
wow.
Campbell. We do
B12.
suck at the advertisements.
I did deal with
We
them
need to
on the
pre-cut
US
all these advertisements and just put them in the show.
No,
go.
we got to remember.
We gotta remember.
Corby and his crew came to the soccer game.
Yeah,
They escorted the U.S. national team there.
Hey, Corby had a post this week that it's Ralph. It was Ralph's birthday.
Man.
His dad, Ralph Campbell, who was
A legend.
legendary guy, legendary policeman, legendary character on the police department. He's we all love Ralph's camaraderie over the years.
Yeah.
We got it.
Wait a minute. We going to prime performance this week?
I needed it today. I almost didn't show up today, but this is not how we're going to do this moving forward. So, communities that support law enforcement are safer places to live.
We're gonna lose all our
Peace.
sponsors.
You guys are dicks.
Peace. We're not doing it like that anymore ever again. If we forget, we're not going to call it and look like buffoons. If we forget, we're just going to put a banner up and just do it.